Yeah, I don't know. Is it time yet? Are we ready to go?
Uh, Let me check my clock. Uh-oh, I think it's 11 o'clock and it's Friday.
It is Friday. It is Friday.
I've known all day it's Friday. Boy, is it Friday. And now it's 11 o'clock, my favorite time on Friday.
I know, I know. Tell me about it. I have had the craziest of mornings. I told you the whole story, but I won't bore all of Clatsop County with my story. But I'll tell you what, it was sure kind of, that old chicken with the head cut off routine. That's kind of, I literally was running around the office. I'm sure I would not have passed an OSHA test at that moment. But having said that, though,
Did you just say that out loud on camera?
I don't know. I don't know. It was just, it was nice. It would be awkward. I was kind of dressed in my high vis stuff that I wanted to show off and everything too. I was kind of, I looked kind of funny, but regardless, I got a lot of things done already this morning. I feel pretty good about that. Look forward to the show with you, Kathy. It's a little sunshiny, rainy, and really cloudy, like all the time right now. I mean, here outside, like from 1 hour to the next hour, it's just been so changing of the weather and everything. I don't know about you, but I love this time of year. But what's going on over there with you?
Hey, me too. Fall or autumn or whatever you want to call it, this
Yeah.
time when it gets a little cooler is my favorite time of year. I
Yep.
love sweater weather. I love being able to put my boots on and being outside regardless of what the weather does. And like you're saying, around here, it can change in a blink of an eye. It can be bright and sunny, and all of a sudden the skies just open up and you're drenched if you're not ready. Or the
Yeah.
clouds move in and all of a sudden it's dark. I mean, sometimes I think of, what people would have thought here in the Pacific Northwest before power and electricity, rolling the way back clock,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
how quickly it gets dark. I mean, there's stories about how people panicked when there were eclipses, solar eclipses, because of how dark it got all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Somehow I think that people that lived here in the Pacific Northwest region were a little bit more used to that sudden light change and may not have freaked out as much because they were so used to it. Because really those clouds move in and all of a sudden it could be, early morning or late evening, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't know, and it's the middle of the day. So yeah.
It's been so funny, because I now, most part of my job, about 50% of my job is all about shooting videos and going out with camera gear that you can see behind me here and all that kind of stuff. Well,
Don't knock it over.
yeah, whack, knock it over. But it's just so crazy. I know you set a time frame with somebody to go film, and you're like, okay, well, looks great. We can go ahead and get that done. I come in and fiddle around with my cameras, and I'll go outside, and it's pouring rain down. This literally has happened to me this week twice. I just had to eventually bite the bullet and say, okay, I grabbed the iPhone and I'm going out and shooting video. I'm not going to get this stuff wet, but
Right.
iPhone, I can get wet. Not to say that's particularly any brand that we suggest or not, but for me, it was just nice to have a phone that I could go out and film in the wet weather and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But
A little lower risk, a little lower risk.
But Kathy, I also
So
wonder before we kind of get rolling, I just want to make sure that I'm up to date on our social media footprint before we get into everything else. We're on Facebook and we're also on YouTube, and I was kind of wondering if you can kind of explain a little bit of that to me and to us before we roll into the next thing. What's going on with
yeah,
that?
so we at Sunset Empire Transportation District are taking full advantage of all the technology means and measures that we have at our disposal right now. And we have been able in the last month to expand our social media footprint from just Facebook broadcasting to now also being on YouTube. So, we've heard from multiple people that don't have Facebook, so that the Facebook videos were a little bit challenging because they couldn't necessarily access them as easily as we would want people to be able to access them. So I did a little digging and I've done a little investigating, and I figured out a way for us to broadcast on both. So we are currently live streaming to both Facebook and to YouTube at the same time. And
Cool.
we will keep that going as long as we possibly can. And not just for us and our talk, because we want to reach as many people as we possibly can, because we think we have valuable things to say. I don't know, whether everybody out there agrees with us or not, but we sure think so. And we want that people to get the message as easily as possible. But also the Sunset Empire Transportation District board meetings will also be live streamed on both Facebook and on YouTube. And that is not just for now, that's for the foreseeable future. So even if the board goes back to meeting in person, you can watch us. You can watch the board. You can participate in those meetings via these live streams. And so I will say that every board meeting and any public meeting that Sunset Empire has, they do have a public comment time, or usually most meetings. They have a public comment time, and they will take public comment, not just from people that are in the room, but also people that are in the room virtually. So if you're watching the meeting on Facebook or you're watching the meeting on YouTube, during the public comment time, they also will read your public comment to the board. And so you get to have that on the record, whether you're in the room or not. Public comment is not a back and forth question and answer period, just to be clear, but they will read your comments and they will be then part of the public record. And so just so you know, you can participate in the meetings that way. But now is the time. If you have public comment, we will take your public comment anytime. You can ask us questions. If we have the answers or we know the answers right now, we'll let you know right here live on video. And if not, we'll do the research and then we'll put the answers right there in the comments for you. So, we want to keep it family friendly. Make sure you keep your comments and your questions family friendly. They are for everybody and for everyone to digest. And so we want you to be able to participate. And si tienen preguntas y no hablan inglés y solo hablan español, también lo pueden preguntar en español aquí en los comentarios de Facebook o en YouTube también. Nosotros también lo podemos responder en español.
Woohoo! Yeah.
And I could have just said a whole bunch of stuff about Jason and he wouldn't have known, but I didn't.
I think I might have been able to tell Jason, because in Spanish it's kind of hard to get around Jason there. I know that. But hey, that's really cool that all that information that you just bestowed upon us. Of course, me being a part of what you do and so forth, I have a little more understanding of that. But man, I'm telling you, that's a lot of stuff, Kathy, to get done. Just so that we can get this message out to as many people as possible. And it's really cool that you were able to dig, and then not only just dig, but really go through the technical issues of getting that going. I felt a little bit of your pain during that time, but thanks for sharing that. I just wanted to kind of get that out of the way, because I think it's really important that people know that as we continue to produce and produce this show, that we're putting a lot of effort into ensuring that people can watch it, and not only watch it now, but can always go back and reference it. And that's going to be key as we continue to grow and kind of put and save those things, at least from my standpoint, from the YouTube perspective. I want to have those playlists set up in very specific ways. We've put out so many shows now, Kathy, that I'm sure that after much deliberation, we could probably playlist quite a bit and have some good subject topics for those playlists.
Absolutely. And on that topic, the history of the videos and things. And so if people are just discovering us now, go back through those video libraries that already exists on Facebook and is being developed in YouTube. So we're going to do our best to move our Facebook content and create it in YouTube as well. So if you rewatch a video, even if it's from a year ago and you have questions, put them in the comments. We get alerts about those and we'll get back to you. We will answer your questions and you can check back and we will get back to you, or you can message us, and so that's the other thing is we're also available by Messenger and by WhatsApp on Facebook. I don't think YouTube has a way to add those in there, but we do check those comments and questions as well. So drop them right in those subject lines. If you want to know when the next latest and greatest video that Jason's been working on is available on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because boy, does he put out some good videos, and
Ah.
you don't want to be the last one in the neighborhood to find out that Jason has just released a new video,
Well, I
because
can't
they're
wait
pretty
for
awesome.
this new one coming out, Kathy.
Yeah,
And
definitely you want to be on board for that one for sure.
Oh, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. But hey,
So
we're ready to move on, Kathy. What are we going to talk about today? What's what's going on?
being my favorite time of year, I also just want to mention that, I've been doing a whole heck of a lot of promoting of this Get There thing that's going on right now. So the Get There challenge is happening. We have a couple days left. Where is it? There we go. I'm not sticking my finger up my nose, just pointing out this date over here. Few days left. So if you have been meaning to log your trips, and you may have been gotten too busy here for the last week or so, and you haven't logged them yet, it's not too late. You can go in there, you Jason, wherever you are, can go in there and log your trips. And you can log your trips from the last week as well. So you don't have to just log them from now going forward. You can use the calendar to log your remote work trips, your carpool trips, your walking trips, your biking trips, your bus trips, all of those things. Get in there and log them. And check out the challenge section for the achievements, because there's a couple videos in there to watch or surveys to take, and those get you points too. The point I'm getting to is, I want you to still work on developing those habits. And if you have worked on that, I want you to get credit for them. And then I want you to get points so that you can have the potential to win prizes. So you got to do it by the 17th. Get those trips logged and get that all in there so that you can get credit and you can be eligible for those prizes.
Yes, you can get there.
There you go. Awesome, Jason.
You can do it, Kathy. Wait, why I say you can do it? I'm pointing at you on the screen. I meant to be talking to myself. Jason, you can do it.
You can do it, Jason. You can. Yes, you can.
Yes, I can.
So while I've been doing all of this Get There promotional stuff, I've been trying to get out there more and do these things myself. And so I've kind of noticed it's not quite as light in the morning when I get up to go to work and do my morning commute, which is walking the dog, because I'm remote working. So my commute is walking the dog, and I can log that trip, or I can log the remote work trip to the office that I don't take. But it's dark now when I wake up. So I've been kind of noticing that. Have you noticed?
Yeah, it's definitely getting darker, earlier. This happens every year, right? And I think what we're leading into right now is really about the safety of navigating our community during this time of year, and this particular time of year is really challenging because people are just coming off. Now, believe it or not, we're just coming off of the end of summer. Everything's a little brighter, the weather was a little better, and so forth. And so these first few weeks and maybe month into fall and winter it's the most challenging, because people are kind of retasking how they drive, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So
well, I mean, the lights, it always kind of, you say it happens every year, but it also kind of always surprises me when I wake up that day and all of a sudden it's actually dark, not just a little gray. It's dark. And I'm like, wait a minute, when did that happen?
Oh, yeah.
So there's some extra steps that we are going to talk about to make sure that while we're out there during the dark gray or dark times, that we're doing our best to keep ourselves safe and being aware of others that might be out there. If you're driving a car or, using a bicycle, there's definitely some steps that we need to take.
Perfect. So Kathy, I would like to share with you an original video that I put together to help us along with our conversation. Would that be okay with you?
I would love it. I love Jason videos.
Okay, so I am going to share this video that I just recently did just for you, Kathy, and for everyone out there. I did this especially for you all. And give me just 1 second and we will get going on this. Okay, Kathy, hoping to see that. You should be able to hear it, and here we go.
Be safe, be seen. That phrase could be understood as far back as the large ships crossed our great oceans. In many cases, those trips would end in tragedy when ships could not see rocky coastlines. Today, when we drive in the dark, during dusk, or in bad weather, our visibility decreases greatly. Things are not always as clear during dimly lit times, and we can often feel overwhelmed when trying to walk or bike during these times. Oncoming traffic, confusing intersections, and even glare from freshly wetted roadways make it challenging for drivers in vehicles and pedestrians on those same roads to remain safe. Even during the early morning sunrise, can we often lose track of someone walking on the side of the road. Let's take a look at someone walking on the side of the road. Can you see?
You see him?
I can't see him. Whoa! Whoa!
Yeah, he was there.
How about here? As some of these examples show, it's hard to see people who do not stand out while it's dark. As we navigate our roads during our commutes, we have to be aware of our surroundings and keep an eye out for those walking and biking.
Whoa!
Those walking or biking need to make themselves be visible and seen at all times.
This happens every day, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Look at that silhouette, you know, with the light oncoming and stuff. And there's my girls going off to school with me on the bus. Pretty dark there.
Yeah.
They disappear, don't they?
Yeah. So even light colored clothing isn't necessarily the best thing, but it definitely helps as opposed to just black.
It does. Of course, while I'm filming, there's nobody on the road. Oh, there's me and my flashlight about 100
yards.
Walk in groups.
Just you and a couple friends heading to work.
Wear reflective gear.
Yeah, walk in groups or wear reflective gear is very important. You wouldn't be able to see that person without
use flashlights or blinky objects.
I mean, even that. Yep. Without that light, couldn't see that person at all.
There's really 4 people there.
Wow.
Walk in protective, well-lit areas. No matter what your activity is, be safe by being seen. It's almost Halloween. Don't forget to be safe by being seen.
So important. So important.
Yeah. I mean, Kathy, putting together that video, you know, part of putting together videos, I love that kind of work. It's a lot of fun for me. I'm creative that way. I really love finding materials, but I'll tell you what, I learn a lot when I'm, you know, going through those things. And when I see things through the lens of a camera, sometimes it actually makes it worse than it is. A lot of people might understand that cameras don't see so well at night. Well, you know, my vision started as I age, even technically as young as I am, you know, I start to, my reaction time goes down a little bit. My vision, I know, is getting a little blurrier and so forth. Got to go in for an eye check. So those are things that do happen to us. And it's really nice to be able to put together something like this that kind of emphasizes or shows some of those challenges. And I think is really important. You and I could sit here all day long, right, and talk about this kind of stuff. But being able to show somebody, especially in a video, what we're trying to really get through is really important. So I hope that helped you a little bit as we're about ready to discuss maybe some points there.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I think that was an excellent learning tool. Thank you so much for whipping that up for us. And, you know, it really, there's nothing like a visual to really show you the difference. You know, when you're showing somebody with a light in their hand, really, when that light wasn't facing a direction that you could see the light, that person completely disappeared.
Exactly.
And so, you know, it might look a little silly to be wearing these bright yellow vests with the reflective on it, or, you know, you might feel silly, but it might keep you alive. I mean, that's the whole point, is we want to make sure that people can see you. Absolutely. And holy moly, when you showed that person walking on the side of the road, I couldn't see that person at all.
Right.
So I just imagine myself, I mean, because yeah, we live in the Northwest and we don't necessarily wear the brightest colors, especially in the fall and
Of
winter.
course not. Yeah.
And so making sure that whatever we're wearing has at least a retroreflective stripe on it, or throwing that vest on, or throwing a retroreflective band around your wrist or your pant leg, or something.
Yeah.
What a difference it makes.
It sure does, I mean, and so when I was working with my girls, of course, I thank you girls very, very much for
Yes.
they make these videos. But I think it really is important. You had mentioned, wearing brightly colored clothes isn't the best way to be safe by being seen, but it is a lot better than wearing all dark colors, brown, black, whatever. It's
Absolutely.
really to see things like that. That one photo you saw of the girls where they were very illuminated, that was actually at pitch black. It was at 5:30 in the morning. It was pretty darn dark, but I wanted to show that because the only thing that I had on at that time was just my headlights, and they were shining in a different direction. But just even the hue or the glow of those headlights illuminated them just enough because they were wearing lighter, maybe not brighter, but lighter colored clothing.
Yeah.
And the camera was able to pick that up. So that is really important to understand, that if you don't wear one of these, which I highly suggest wearing one of these.
Yeah.
They're relatively inexpensive, especially if you get them without the fancy logos on there and everything. But wearing these, all of the people that I travel train, even during the summertime, if I have money and I've purchased some of these myself, or even reflective, throw bags and stuff, I hand those out to them because it's so important. If I'm going to travel train somebody to ride the bus, especially in the early morning, late night, I want them to be seen. And the best way to do that is through this. Do they use it?
Absolutely.
Not all the time, but this might be the best way to go. But do everything that you can possibly do. Kathy, I'll let you say something here in just a second, but I have a flashlight problem. I'm receiving therapy for it, but
it's a flashlight challenge.
It is a flashlight challenge. And I wanted to make sure that, as I also train as well too, I don't want to blind everybody out here, but as you saw in the video there, the person was taking the flashlight and doing this. And of course, as you can tell, what happens, like against my black shirt, all of a sudden I become technically kind of invisible to the background of a dark day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dark night, excuse me. And then you can see me. And
Yep.
Yes, oncoming drivers of buses and drivers of regular vehicles can see that flashlight. What I try to train people to do, and this is really important for everyone to understand out there, is make sure that light is flashing towards, maybe not directly onto the traffic, where they're blinded like that, but this, okay? At least to the road, or maybe just above the cars or something like that, and keep that light facing towards the traffic. I think that's really important for people to understand. And something, my girls, they each have this particular type of flashlight because they didn't want to wear this, and I'm not into yet maybe forcing them to do it. So they didn't want to wear this. I understand it. But what they were able to do and willing to do is to take one of these and have these, and easy to throw in their pocket and take out and do this and all that kind of stuff. So make sure that even if you do have these devices that are helpful and so forth, or your cell phone, for crying out loud's got a whole bunch of lights on it and stuff, you got to do anything out there to be safe.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, and so we're talking about the people that are out there walking and biking, and they're part of being safe and being seen. So, but there's also the other part, you showed a lot of part of your video with you driving. And so it's really important that drivers are being responsible and you're driving slowly and paying attention. And especially, I know that we're having some issues. We all had our memories and our brains wiped during this pandemic when we weren't able to get out and about, or so it seems, because we need to be aware of school buses. And when those school buses are out there driving, we don't have divided highways for the most part out here. So if you see a school bus and it starts flashing its yellow lights, and then it turns on its red light, even if you're on the other side of one of our highways, you gotta stop.
Gotta stop.
You gotta stop. Full stop for as long as that stop sign is out, because we do not have physical barriers on our highways that separate the two lanes of traffic going the opposite direction. So those flashing lights and those stop signs apply to you. You gotta stop. And I know there's a bunch of people out here in our area that have experienced the penalties, and we want more people to apply the rules of the road to themselves, be Oregon friendly drivers, and not get those tickets. But really, the real reason is that we don't want our kids to be at risk.
Right.
All of the kids out there, we want to keep them safe. We want them to know that our communities are looking out for them. So when you see those school buses, you gotta be on high alert, and you gotta stop. Slow down with the yellow lights and stop with the reds.
You know,
there is no reason why not. There's no excuse. There's no, when you get pulled over, they aren't going to buy any of those excuses that you didn't know. That doesn't matter. You got to stop.
I'd like to think some of those people who have received those tickets maybe actually kind of got lucky, right? I don't care how much the ticket is, because no amount of money could replace an injured kid or worse, right? So, but I was going to say, even we have the school buses, which, yes, that is a major problem. But another issue that I see, and I see this actually all the time, you can tell when people are driving with faulty equipment. You can hear that when you're waiting with your kids at the bus stop. So it's really important out there as well, too. Please, as you're getting into this time of the year and stuff, just keep your vehicle safe. Okay, change your windshield wipers. All right, I saw a truck going by, our stop the other day, and you could hear the windshield wipers. It was almost like metal on window, and you could tell that during the rain that his windshield was not being cleared, right? And so if his windshield is not being cleared, you saw that part of the video, right, Kathy, where that driver's trying to drive. And that is actually really, really a truthful video statement. You can't see. You can't see it. You can't tell if that's a school bus stop. You can't tell if there's somebody crossing in front of you. You can't tell these things that are happening, all because you got this cascade of water coming down and your windshield wipers don't work. If your brakes don't work. And I know some of these are costly repairs for people, so I do understand that and respect that. But, if your brakes don't work in the wet weather, your stopping distance increases significantly. And if you don't have brakes that are operating correctly, that now extends that stopping period, which might be beyond what you're used to. And somebody could get hurt during that. And not just school kids. I mean, we got plenty of people who still walk with umbrellas, who ride their bicycles with rain gear on and so forth. And they're doing their best to be visible. But sometimes it's not always as easy as just simply seeing them. You have to be able to have good functioning equipment, maintained vehicle to be able to safely drive our roads, especially during this time of year. So please do take that into consideration as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just so important. We all share this responsibility. And so, at the very least, if you know that your car needs or your vehicle needs brakes, you got to slow down so that you can increase your ability to stop in time. And so we share this responsibility. We look out for each other. We're a community out here on the Northwest Coast, Clatsop, Columbia, and Tillamook counties. We want to see as many of us tomorrow as we possibly can. We don't want to see any less of us around. So there's plenty of obstacles out there. We don't need unsafe driving conditions to be part of them. So Jason,
here we go.
Can you believe it?
Yep.
It's already our time is already up. I don't know how this happened.
Yeah.
So I know you wanted to tease that other video, but I think we're going to have to save it.
Yeah, let's save it for next week. We'll make a good official tease.
Yeah. So just in case you're curious about what Jason's got in store for us next week, make sure you tune in. We'll be right here next week at 11 o'clock waiting for you.
Absolutely.
And we hope you have a fabulous weekend. It is actually supposed to be nice for part of the weekend. So get out there, get some fresh air, create an account, log your trips. Let's get there, Oregon, and be the best state we possibly can be. And
yes,
Be healthier usses.
Be safe by being seen, everybody. Get yourself
Yes, absolutely.
Get yourself a flashy vest. Get yourself a really, really nice coat or something like that. Get out there, even during this inclement weather. Get out there safe. Get out there, be active if you can. Thank you, Kathy, very much. Wonderful, wonderful show. Thank you very much for encouraging me. I started in our prep being very anxious because of how busy I was this morning, but talking to you and working through this show has definitely made me feel like my day's back on track now. So
awesome. And I'm going to use a little bit of overtime just to mention, as part of being safe and being seen is also being prepared. Next week, October 21st, is the Great Oregon Shakeout. Make sure you're paying attention. Google it, be ready, be prepared, and practice that. That's awesome. Great Oregon Shakeout. So check it out. You guys all have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye, everybody.